Okay, in this basic Blender video tutorial, I'm gonna show you how to transform this cube into a fork. Now, I've done a previous version of this video on 2.49, so I reckon that I update the video for 2.58. So I'm gonna show you the differences between 2.49 and 2.58. So let's just get started. So first of all, we need to go to the edit mode. So make sure this cube is selected by right mouse clicking on it, and then pressing the tab key will go to the edit mode. When you're in the edit mode, you will be able to access the subcomponents of a mesh object. So most polygonal meshes are made out of three components. There is the vertices, and then I'm now changing the selection mode to edge, so now I can select the edge, and of course the faces. So notice as I switch between the selection options, okay, you see that for faces usually there's a black dot in the center here. Let me go to wireframe mode by pressing Z. So by clicking on the black dot, you can select the individual faces, right? And you can, in fact, holding down the shift, you can turn on all the properties or all the selection modes at the same time, but this can get rather confusing. So normally I either select, I usually select in one of these modes. So for me, normally I do not use these buttons to change the selection mode. My favorite is to use the shortcut buttons, Control Tab. So when I press Control Tab, I can access the selection mode very quickly. So you press Control Tab, I can go to vertex mode now. So I select between the vertices, and then I press Control Tab again. I can select the edges. I press Control Tab, I can go to faces. And in a way, you can also do selection conversion. For example, right now this face is selected. If I want only the vertices to be selected, you can press Control Tab and go to vertices, and now you can see the vertices are now selected. Go to edges. Now only the edges are selected. So in a way, it can be very useful. For example, I select this edge, I go to vertex, now the vertices are selected. Okay, so now we know how to select the different portions of a mesh. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to transform this. I'm going to flatten this cube. I'm going to press A a couple of times so that right now everything is selected. So remember, pressing A toggles between selection of everything and deselection of everything. So I'm going to press A again to select everything. Press S to activate the scale shortcut key, followed by Z to lock in the Z axis. Okay, so I'm going to scale it down in the Z axis, and then left mouse to plant the scale. Then I'm going to press S again, scale, and then followed by X, so I can scale it down along the X-axis. So I got a shape looking like this. I'm going to press S again, which is scaling, but I'm going to lock in the Y-axis. So I'm just going to elongate this. S followed by Y again, just elongate it slightly. Okay, next I want to introduce something called an edge loop. An edge loop is the well, okay, let's just plant one edge loop first. When I press Control R, pressing Control R will introduce a edge loop. Okay, when I move my cursor along the edge, you can specify which orientation you want the loop to run across. So in this case, when your cursor is near this this loop section, the edge loop will run across this direction. If you move your cursor here, it's going to run along this direction. For edge loop to work, you have to have four-sided adjacent faces for the edge loop to run across. And if you roll up your mouse, you can actually increase the number of edge loops. Roll it upwards, you increase it. You roll it downwards, you decrease it. Okay, so for now, I'm just going to insert one edge loop. So to insert it, just left mouse button. And when you move your cursor, you can actually specify where you want to plant that edge loop. So for this first edge loop, I'm going to plant it close to the edge here. So left mouse button, plant it there. Okay, so next I want to switch over to face mode. Control Tab, select the face, right mouse click, select the face. I'm going to pull it out slightly more. I'm going to press S and then lock it along the X-axis and just widen it a little bit. And the next thing I want to do is I want to extrude it. So while the face is being selected, I can extrude it. So the extrusion tools can be accessed under the mesh tools here. You can see extrude region. So if I press E, E is the shortcut key for extrude. If I press E, I can extrude another face here. So while E is being extruded, by default it's always extrude by the face's own normals. So I'm going to extrude, and once you're happy with this, you can left mouse click to plant the extrusion. Okay, and I'm going to scale it down slightly, so you can press S and I can scale it down uniformly. So I now have the tip, or rather the rear handle of the fork. So now I want to extrude, or rather I want to model the front section of the fork. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right mouse click to select this face. Then I'm going to press S followed by X to scale on the X axis so I can widen it like so. And next I'm going to press E to extrude another section here out like this. Okay, so I'm going to tweak the neck a little bit here. So I'm going to switch over to vertex mode. I'm going to press A to deselect, and I'm going to select this section here. Now there are a couple of ways to select these group of vertices. You can hold down to Alt key and right mouse click, and you can see a edge loop will be selected. The edge loop will be selected. Or you can hold down to Control left mouse button, drag a lasso around it. That's another way to select it. Or you can press B to bring out the border select. Left mouse click and drag a box over the vertices you want to select and release. So you can see there are more than one way to select the subcomponents of this fork. So now I'm going to, once these are selected, I'm going to press S and scale along the x-axis, and then just scale it down slightly, like so. Okay, so I'm still in wireframe mode. I'm going to press Z to switch over to the shaded mode. Press A to deselect everything. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to extrude the prongs of the fork. Now you can insert about 3 edge loops, alright, to start pulling out the fork just by pressing Ctrl R. Okay, make sure that you position your cursor at the right orientation for the edge loop. Roll your mouse upwards until you have 3 edge loops, then left mouse button click to insert the edge loop, and then you can start to select the faces and extrude. But I do not recommend inserting an edge loop like this, because you are introducing a lot of redundant geometry along this handle here. So I'm going to undo by pressing Ctrl Z to undo before I insert the edge loop. So in normal practice, when you're modeling, you try to be as efficient as possible. You try not to create too much unnecessary geometry. So I'm going to show you to prevent the edge loop from running across this the 4-sided face. You have to introduce a 3-sided face. Okay, so to do that, let me switch back to the wireframe view again by pressing Z. Then I'm going to go to the top view, and right now I'm in top perspective view. I'm going to press 5 to toggle into the orthographic view. I'm going to press Control Tab, and I'm going to go back to the face selection mode, and I'm going to select the top face, and I'm just temporarily going to middle mouse click and drag, and you can see the bottom face is selected. I want these 2 faces to be selected. Holding down the Shift, right mouse click and select. So now I got the 2 faces selected. Okay, now for the knife tool to work properly, make sure you only select the face that you want to cut. Now the behavior of the knife tool is very interesting. So it comes by practice. Okay, I didn't realize it, and it's a little bit different from 2.49. The knife tool in 2.58 is a little bit different. So for the knife tool to work, make sure you select the face you want to cut first. Okay, then I'm going to switch over to the top view again. Okay, I'm going to roll my mouse up to zoom out, and then holding down the Shift, middle mouse click, drag to pan. Alright, if you want to zoom to selection, the shortcut key is the delete key on the numpad, or the full stop key, the period key, and the number pad. So you zoom to selection. Alright, so it's the numpad dot key, alright, on your number pad. Okay, so if you can't see your object, if the object is selected, you press your number pad delete key and you zoom to the selection. Okay, so now let's bring up the knife tool. So if you don't know where the knife tool is, you can always tap the space bar to bring up this help menu. Tapping the space bar will bring up this help menu, and you can type up the word knife, K-N-I, and then straight away it shows you the knife shortcut. So the shortcut is K plus the left mouse button. So in order to cut, you have to hold down your K key and the left mouse click and drag to do the cutting action. So what I realized is to cut efficiently, what we want to do is I want to cut across from here down here. So from this corner here all the way down here. Okay, so hold down your K key. Make sure your cursor is within the border of the face. Try not to cut outside. So start from the inside at the corner here. Left mouse click and drag and cut an angle like this and release. Okay, you should get a cut looking like this. And because I selected the face below, I end up with a cut looking exactly the same. Alright, so now I have triangular faces, and if I were to insert an edge loop across here, it will not cut all the way across the fork. So I'm going to go back to my top view again. I'm going to switch over to vertex view. I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to select these central faces, and I'm just going to move them until they're right at the center. So I'm going to press B, border select, drag and select the central faces, and then I'm going to hold down to Control to activate my snap. Okay, it's not snapping the location I want, so I'm going to just eyeball this. Okay, right about the center here. I'm going to press A to deselect. Okay, so now that I have these triangular faces, if I try to insert the edge loop will not run all across here. Okay, so I'm going to select the front face. Okay, and I'm going to press Ctrl R, and I'm going to insert the edge loop. So I'm going to have just roll the mouse up until it has 3 cuts and left mouse click to cut. Okay, once I've cut this, okay, for those of you who've seen my earlier 2.49 version of the fork tutorial, you notice that I have now a multiple radiating point here. So this is not a very good phenomena to have, because if I were to subdivide this later, I'm going to have a lot of artifacts here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine the triangular faces. So I'm going to switch to face mode now, Control Tab, switch off to face mode. I'm going to select opposing triangular faces, and I'm going to press F to join them together. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to get rid of all these extra edges. So I'm going to press F to join them and reduce the amount of radiating lines. So I'm going to do this one by one. Press F to join the faces. Press F. Okay, so you must right mouse click to select, holding down the shift, right mouse click to select 2 adjacent triangular faces and press F. Select these 2 adjacent triangular faces and press F. Okay, select these 2 adjacent triangular faces and press F. So now the faces are joined together. So next, what I want to do is I want to select these 4 faces and start to extrude the prongs of the fork. Now, if I were to just press E and extrude right now, the problem is these 4 faces are going to behave like a single object. See, they are stuck together. Okay, let me go to shaded mode, and you can see that the adjacent faces are stuck together. Alright, so that is not the result which I want. Now in the older version of Blender, if I press E, I'm given a choice of extruding as a region or extruding as individual faces. Right now the menu has been moved over to the mesh toolbar over here. So if I want to extrude these individually, I mean short of selecting individual faces and extruding them one by one, you can select all of them together, but instead of extruding as a region, you can choose this option, extrude individual. So I'm going to choose this button, and I'm going to left mouse click to activate extrude individual. And then I'm going to left mouse click to plant them where they are. And I'm going to scale them down. Okay, now you're going to notice one more phenomenon. If I were to scale these down by pressing S, they're going to scale together at their median point. So what I want is I want them to scale on its own individual faces origin. So you can change that by going down to your header here and clicking on the pivot center. So rather than median point, you can choose individual origins. So with that option selected, I can press S, and now you notice that they are scaling along their individual points. So at this point in time, we can switch over to the side view. Okay, I can just move this group of faces down. I can press R to rotate. Okay, I can press E again. Okay, I can press R to rotate them slightly upwards, and then I can move them up again. Press R to rotate. I can press, and then I can scale them down a little bit. Again, I press E one more time, and then I'm going to bring this up a little bit, and I can rotate slightly, and I can press S to scale down slightly. So now I have the prongs extruded out. Okay. And basically the low resolution model of the fork is done, but it's still not refined yet. And there is a tool or a modifier that can make this look subdivided. So the function of subdivided is to add more faces so that it looks smoother. Because right now the number of faces you can see in this information bar here, you have 76 vertices, 77 faces. All right, for this fork. So you can go over to the this what do you call that? The properties window. Under here, the modifiers, you can add a modifier called the subdivision. Okay, subdivision surface. So if I click on the subdivision surface, you can see the number of faces is increased, but the original model is not affected at all. If I press Tab, you can see the number of faces is still the same. So what this subsurf modifier does is that it increases the number of faces without destroying the original low resolution model. So I can increase it under the view here, second time, third time. And you can see the fork is starting to look much, it is smoother, much smoother. But at the same time, if you press Tab key, you can still access the low resolution model and edit it as if it's a low resolution model. So this type of modeling is called subdivision modeling. Okay, so I'm going to show you a shortcut to add this modifier. So I'm going to delete away the modifier by clicking on the cross here. So now we are back to the original model. So I may go back to the object mode. Now to remember, to toggle between object mode and edit mode, you just press the Tab key. So right now I'm in the object mode. So the fastest way to apply a subdivision modifier is just simply press Control top row number 1. So Control and you press the top row number 1. Now this is subdivided level 1. So control number 2, control number 3, and you can toggle between the high res and low res. Now why is this useful? If you're running on a slow computer, you want to view it at a lower resolution. So if your computer graphics card is not fast enough, okay, you just want to have a rough idea what this looks like as a smooth object, then you can press Control 1. But those of you who have a faster computer, you can press Control 3, and then you can see what it looks like being smoothed. Okay, so although the fork looks smooth now, if you look closely, okay, it has that faceted look. Alright, it's got that multiple face look. So if you want it to look smooth, you had to apply another function. Over at the tools, object tools here, there is a shading option here called flat and smooth. So by default, everything is always flat. Okay, so I'm going with the whole object selected, you select smooth. So with the smooth option selected, you can see the difference. Now the fork is smooth. So I can toggle back to flat again, and you can see the difference. Subdivided. Okay, it is subdivided, but it's got a faceted look. If I hit on smooth again, and now it looks smooth. Okay, so we'll keep it at smooth mode, and you can see that obviously the fork can still be tweaked. And remember, I only applied the subdivision modifier. It is not permanently applied, because I'll just show you, if I apply it permanently by clicking on apply here, and if I go to edit mode right now, you can see, oh, the number of faces and detail level has increased. Okay, so this will be very, very hard to edit. Okay, so let me undo, and I just press Control 3 again, and right now I'm in my edit mode. Okay, so you can see, okay, now I want to select all the faces, okay, by pressing A. Now for application of the smooth, okay, you can actually apply it in different areas. For example, if I want to apply the smooth only in the front section of the fork, okay, I'm going to hold down to Control, left mouse, click and drag to draw a selection. So if I want these faces, only these faces to be smooth, now they are selected, and I can select smooth. So now they are smooth. Press A to deselect. Okay. So you can see the bottom faces are still not smooth yet, but the selected faces are smooth. Okay, but most of the time I will select all by pressing A, and then I'll set them to smooth. Okay, but if you're in object mode, okay, so it's either flat or smooth. So when you're in object mode and you apply this function, it applies to the entire object. But when you're in edit mode, you can individually select faces and you can decide which face you want to be smooth or flat. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to tweak the neck a little, because right now the neck is a bit thick. So I'm going to insert an edge loop by pressing Ctrl R. Okay, and move the cursor over, you see, until you see a pink line. Left mouse click and drag, and then I'm going to bring down the neck here like this. And I want to give the handle, right now the handle is a bit straight. I'll give it several subdivisions. Ctrl R, maybe about 2 subdivisions. And left mouse click to plant the subdivision. I'm going to go to the side view. And you notice that the subdivisions are still being selected, the edges. So with the manipulator, transform manipulator on, I'm going to grab the z-axis and just going to move it up. So I give it a nice bend for the fork. And I'm going to switch over to vertex mode. Alright, press A to deselect. I want to select this group of vertices and I'm going to rotate them. Now, if you were to select the vertices by using the border select, pressing B and left mouse click and select, okay, it will appear that you have selected the vertices here, but sometimes you have to be very careful. Right now, I'm middle click and drag. You notice that I only selected the visible vertices. That is because there's this button here at the bottom here, limit selection to visible. That means in my side view just now, I'm only seeing the vertices in front of me. So if I drag B border select, you only select what is visible in front of me. So if I want to select the vertices behind me, I have to activate this button. Okay, so now I can select the vertices behind me. So I'm going to press A to deselect, press B, left mouse click and drag a box over it, and now you can see the entire row of vertices is selected. So take note of this button here, okay, the limit selection to visible. So I go back to my side view again. I can press R to rotate this. I can move it to give it a smooth look. Okay, I can Alt right mouse click to select this, edge loop, rotate, and then just grab and move this. Okay, and Control draw a box and then just rotate this. Okay, basically just tweaking to make my fork look nicer. Okay, so once you're happy with this, you can go to object mode and then you can inspect your model. Okay, so I'm going to move this up so entire fork, so that I'm going to use this green line as the table. I mean, that's my table reference. Go back to edit mode again. Press B border select and select this entire group of vertices and just move them up until it appears that the front is touching on the table. Press A to deselect, press B. Okay, and select these group of vertices. I just want to rotate this and give it a nice curve. Alright, and yep, basically, okay, I'm done with this. So it's a nice round curved fork. Alright, if you want to tweak, like you want to make this prongs more defined, you can go to edit and you can insert edge loops, Control R, insert an edge loop here. Okay, Control R, and so you can bring it down to make it more defined, but I'm just going to leave it at the center here. So Control R, and that's it. Now the prongs are more defined. So basically your fork is done. So essentially this is how you model a fork in Blender 2.58, and I hope that you are aware of the differences between 2.49b and this current version. So I hope you learned a lot from this tutorial, and try this fork modeling yourself.